Hello friends, welcome to Practice with Kris. I'm Kris, and it's been quite some time since I've shared a new practice with y'all. You may notice that there have been some changes as I'm in my last month or so of pregnancy. And to be honest, this past year was a bit of a roller coaster as we experienced a second miscarriage and ended up investing a lot of ourselves in not only healing from these losses and letting some things take a back seat, like this channel, in order to create the space we needed to grow our family. But we've also been investing in the actual land where we live, where we're creating a mindful camping retreat space we call Moon Mountain. And this is a place where we imagine lodging and learning on our 28-acre mountain retreat in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Western North Carolina. I share all of this for those who have wondered where I've been, and I also want to acknowledge those of you who reached out with curiosity, concern, and even hopes that I would continue to share more of these practices. It means so much to me to have this support and feedback. So, I have no intentions of stopping this channel, and I appreciate that it continues to grow despite me taking a bit of a break. So if you'd like, you're welcome to continue practicing with me through the couple of dozen of videos we've already created and shared here, and to also stay tuned, because this year, we are going to be experimenting with a new format that will hopefully support us in sharing more consistent video practices with you all. So thanks again for all the support to this point, the patience and understanding as we ride the always changing waves of our lives and then discern what's healthiest and best for us moment to moment. This is really what the practice is all about, meeting ourselves where we are and letting ourselves be human. Okay. Now, for today's practice, I'd love to offer you all a movement break, one that I've been relying on a lot as I navigate the need to move my body and encourage circulation and range of motion, as well as to address the tightness that comes from not just growing a baby, but from sitting or standing for long periods of time, something that most of us can relate to. So for anyone needing to bring more movement, especially in the hips and spine, into their life, this is the video for you. You could grab a mat for this one or not, but a chair or wall space will be useful, as well as a blanket or cushion, particularly if you are in your second or third trimester of pregnancy. All right, take the time, get what you need, and let's begin. All right, so let's begin standing. Wherever you are, I just invite you to come into a place that just feels sturdy and comfortable. And so your feet might be closer together or further apart, especially for my soon-to-be mamas. Okay. Once you have your feet grounded, just taking a moment to kind of acknowledge yourself standing here. And if it feels comfortable, you're welcome to close the eyes. You can just let the arms gently rotate outward with the palms face forward. Or if it feels more comforting or nurturing to bring your hands onto your belly or your heart, we'll just take a few moments here to check in. Notice how it feels to be standing here in your body. Maybe taking a couple rounds of clearing breath where you inhale deeply through your nose and exhale out of your mouth. Maybe trying that a couple more times. Inhaling and then exhaling. Last time here, just letting the breath transport you into your body and into this moment. And from here, you can gently begin to open your eyes if they are closed. And we're just going to bring our hands onto our hips. And so when we sit and stand for a long time, our hips can get really tight. So we're just going to start moving them. So you can start to just kind of move them side to side, noticing what's there to notice. You could also start to make circles with the hips. And as you make circles with the hips, I encourage you to keep sticking your butt out a little bit So notice especially when that circle comes forward, if you want to tuck your butt under, see if you can keep encouraging it to stick out a little bit. And that's just going to keep our pelvis in a more neutral alignment. And you can reverse the direction if you're doing circles. And you can just imagine that you're inviting circulation into these areas that there might be more stagnation. And the last movement, so again, you can continue with that. And the last movement is you could experiment with making figure eights with your hips. And this can always be fun to notice if that 8 does not resemble an 8. And no judgment here. So you're just staying curious as you kind of have a teacher who calls this like salsa in the hips. So notice that, and you can try the other way, which might be a little more challenging. And again, when we kind of enter the practice with more curiosity and just giving ourselves permission to play or explore, we automatically start to loosen the grip on expectation and judgment. So we can just explore that a little bit. And then we'll gently come back through the center and just return to stillness for a moment. Taking a full inhale and a complete exhale. All right. From here, I'm going to invite you to inhale, take the arms up. And then exhale, we'll lower them down. You might want a little buoyancy or bend in your knees as you inhale and take the arms up. And then exhale, release them down. And then last time here, as you inhale and take the arms up, you can pause. You can turn your left hand away from you and reach for the wrist. And then stay really firmly rooted through your feet, through your pelvis. And on an inhale, you're going to imagine you could breathe length all the way up the spine. And as you exhale, you can gently start to lean over towards the right. As you lean towards the right, I find that it actually feels best for me to gaze down. But you can always experiment with the gaze, bringing it forward or even up. But wherever you are, see if you can find more of a three-dimensional breath. So especially if you're really poking your front body forward, which is easy to do when you have a body inside of your body. But see if you can breathe a little bit more into the side body, into the back of your body, right? And taking 1 or 2 more breaths here. Letting the tops of the shoulders soften and just keeping the jaw and the face as relaxed as you can. As you root through your feet on the next inhale, you can come all the way up through the center and exhale, release the arms down. It could feel good to inhale the shoulders up, back and down a couple times. Again, the whole name of the game for this practice is like inviting circulation, bringing fluidity into the body. Right? You can reverse the opposite direction here. And then we'll do it on the other side. So when you're ready, inhale, take the arms up, reach up, and then we'll grab for the right wrist this time. And then again, root through your feet. And as you inhale, imagine you could lengthen your spine with your breath and keep that length. And as you exhale, we'll gently lean over towards the left this time. Right? And again, finding the place that feels really supportive for your neck. So for me today, it's gazing down. You could always rest your head on your arm. And you can also start to experiment with bringing the head in other directions. Okay? But see if you can keep tuning into your breath wherever you are. We're always finding this balance between the effort of the stretch, but also encouraging a little bit of ease in the face, the neck, and the tops of the shoulders. Last couple breaths here. Maybe invite that breath into the side of the body, into the back of the body. Just creating more space here. And when you're ready, rooting through the feet, inhale to come all the way up. And as you exhale, you can release your arms down. And again, just pause. So the space between the movement. We just have an opportunity to kind of observe and notice the effect of what we just did. And also to just reset with what I have been calling kind of these clearing or cleansing breaths. Inhaling deeply. Exhale completely. All right, for this next one, wherever you are, you can just, I'm going to reorient my body on my mat. But you can step your right foot forward, take your left leg back. And then you're going to find the stance that works for you. So depending on what is going on with the unique shape of your body, it could feel good to have your feet wide. It can also feel good to bring them more together. So from there, we're just going to, I like to bring my hands on my hips for a little more stability. And it also helps me to self-adjust, to gently draw my right hip back and to encourage the front of my left thigh forward, right? And then before we go into movement, I just want to point out, if you're like me, pregnant, or just have this tendency to poke forward in the front body, you're going to see if you can encourage your front ribs into the back of your body. This is going to keep promoting a nice long spine. So with a little bit of that awareness, we'll inhale, root through the feet and lengthen all the way up through the spine, up through the top of your head, keeping your shoulders relaxed. And the next time you exhale, you're going to bend into that front knee, keeping the knee stacked over the ankle, so not having it go past. And then we'll find dynamic rhythm as you inhale, lengthen back up. And as you exhale, bend back into it. If this doesn't feel good for your back leg, you can always come up onto the toes and find more of a lunge in this. So whichever variation is working for you. But keep riding the wave of your breath. Inhaling up and exhaling down. You can stay here, or for these next few breaths, if you want to add some arm movement. On the inhale, we can take the arms up. And as you exhale, you can bend your elbows, bend your knees. Okay? So we'll do 3 more at your own pace, whichever variation is working for you. Again, continue to keep the attention in that spirit of mindfulness. Like, what are you feeling in the present moment as you move? Last one here. And if it feels good, you could pause and stay in this. So this is really targeting what we call the psoas muscle, the kind of left front thigh hip flexor, which can get really tight from, again, all that sitting. And so we just want to really stretch that here. And that awareness of the front ribs moving to the back ribs is going to help with that. And last couple breaths, hands on hips, or again, find your unique expression. Take them up overhead if you'd like. You could also wrap them around the body to spread the shoulder blades. Another option could be like eagle arms. So one isn't better than the other. Let yourself be creative. And most importantly, see if you can stay with the guidance of your breath. Last full breath here. And then we'll gently unwind. Might bring the arms back up and stretch up. And then we'll just shift the weight forward and change sides. So as we bring the back leg, this time it would be the right leg if you started with the left leg back. Again, take your time to find the most appropriate stance for you. And then with the hands on the hips, we'll gently guide that left hip back and encourage the front of your right hip, your right thigh, gently forward. A little awareness of the front ribs moving towards the back body. And then as you feel ready for that, you're going to inhale and stay long up through the spine, and as you exhale, you'll start to bend into that front knee. And then let the movement be initiated through your breath. Each exhale, bend into this warrior one, this lunge, and each inhale, just imagine yourself staying rooted through the feet as you get nice and tall. And we'll do that at your own pace. Again, you can change the variation of the back leg, coming up onto the toes for more of that lunge, if this isn't feeling too good for your knee. And we want the practice to meet us where we are. We're not This isn't a performative sport. We're not trying to contort or make our body meet the practice. Okay? And again, you might add the arms for these last few ones. And as you take this movement break, it's also an invitation to just kind of reset. So a lot of times, even though we might be standing or sitting still for a long period of time, a lot of times our minds are super active. So here we can just focus on what we're doing while we're doing it. Keeping the gaze steady at one immovable point can help with that concentration. And again, if it feels good to eventually kind of pause in the stretch, you can take any arm variation here. And yeah. Okay, and then from here again, just giving you some options to get creative. It could be giving yourself a big hug, spreading the shoulders. It could be eagle arms. And the main focus here is we're targeting the front of that right hip flexor and the psoas muscle here, okay? So last breath or two. Throughout the whole practice here, anytime you notice that you're like gripping in the jaw or the face or anywhere, just let the exhale reset and relax what you can. When you're ready, you can inhale and come out. You can always come out early as needed, and then we'll step forward again. And then from here, you can either find stillness, or sometimes it feels good to come back into just those little hip movements, right? So you can salsa the hips, find that figure eight. Maybe you notice a greater range of motion or greater articulation in the hips, right? And then as you're ready, we'll go ahead and come into the next posture. All right, so from here, those of you who feel comfortable and maybe are on a mat, you could do a little inhale to take the arms up, and you can exhale and fold forward, and we're going to meet on the hands and knees. Or if you just have a little bit different mobility right now, you're just going to meet on the hands and knees. I like to bring a blanket underneath my knees for padding, so you can always try that out. Okay? And then when you do find yourself on your hands and knees, go ahead and spread your fingers wide, and you're going to come into this tabletop position. So from here, we're just going to do a little bit of movement along the spine. As you inhale, you can untuck your pelvis, start to lengthen your sternum forward, maybe lift the gaze. And as you exhale, you'll start to round your spine up towards the ceiling, letting your head release, keeping your throat long. And then again, let the movement ride the wave of your breath. Inhaling into this cow tilt and exhaling into this cat tilt. So it could feel good to continue with this form. And then you're also encouraged again to find your unique expression. So what feels good in your body in this moment? We're all so different. It might feel good to the next time you exhale to start to swivel the hips a little bit. Maybe that feels better. You can do it the opposite way. You could also feel like what it feels like to do that salsaing of the hips. That figure eight here on the hands and knees. Another thing I like to do here is the next time you exhale, you could bring your right shoulder towards your right hip, and that gets a nice stretch in the left side of the body. You can inhale back to the center and then change. So there really isn't like a right or wrong here. We'll just take a few more breaths to explore movement in your spine and your hips. So again, we're just encouraging this idea of fluidity, motion in the body. We'll take one more breath here, and then wherever you are, we're going to come into a resting warrior. Those of you know that that's what I call child's pose. So you can have your knees wide or closer together, start to walk your hands forward. Some of you will just bring your forehead to the floor, and that will feel good. Or it might feel good to raise the floor with a block. So as we come into that, You can just let your body rest here. Take a couple breaths here. And then it might feel good, whatever your head is resting on, to just gently rock your forehead from side to side, gently massaging the front of your brain. You might even use the next few breaths to consciously invite any heaviness, any chatter or activity in the brain to gently release and soften here. And give yourself another breath or two as you'd like. And then from here, we'll just slowly start to walk our hands back. Let your head come up last. And then I really encourage you to come and sit up onto something. So you might choose to come back and sit in your chair. You can fold your blanket or use your cushion if you are sitting on the floor. And when we prop our hips up, we bring our pelvis, our hips back to a neutral position. And it's that neutral alignment that really allows for our spine to be supported. And so we can invite that length back up into it. Okay? So just taking a moment here, find your seat. Okay? And then we're going to do a little bit of an inner hip stretch. So you can bring the soles of your feet together. Okay? And it doesn't matter how close they are to you. Just find what feels comfortable. And then either reach down for your underneath your feet, your ankles, your shins, whatever feels accessible. And we're going to inhale and lengthen up out of our pelvis. So imagine your spine getting nice and long here. As you kiss the soles of your feet together, you can start to encourage the knees to gently open out to the side. Right? So a really nice counter stretch, again, to when we sit and stand for a long time. You might even feel comfortable directing or inviting your breath down into your pelvis. And then from here, we're going to add a little bit of some neck stretches. So, and the next time you inhale, just keep imagining your spine getting nice and long. And as you exhale, you can gently drop your chin towards your chest. As you inhale, you can bring your left ear towards your left shoulder. The chin can slightly turn up. And then as you exhale, you can bring your chin back towards the center. Inhaling, bringing the opposite, maybe the right ear to the right shoulder, chin lifts. And then exhaling back to center. So you might do this a couple more times at your own pace. Really feeling into what your body needs. So if you notice that one side of your neck actually could use a little more release, you could always pause there for a breath or two. And really imagine that you could breathe all the way up into the front of your chest, into the sensation of stretch, all the while letting your shoulders just relax down your back. And give yourself another breath or two wherever you are. And then the next time your chin comes towards your chest, let's inhale and lift the head back upright. Right? And we can go ahead and close the knees together. It might feel good to stretch them out either in front of you or out to the side. You can flex your feet a little bit if that feels good for your knees. And just offer one more clearing breath here, inhaling through your nose. Exhaling out of your mouth. And from here, after just that little bit of movement break where we both worked on like opening up the hips, counter stretching the areas that tend to get tight, but also strengthening in those areas too, and then promoting a nice long spine, we're going to take time for rest. Right? So those of you that have been following this channel for a while know that I never skimp on the rest because it's really one of the most valuable parts of the practice. So I'm going to encourage us to do either a legs up the wall or a legs on the chair This is just a really great way to take the stagnated blood in our legs when we sit and stand, and basically just flip ourselves upside down and encourage all of that kind of older blood to make its way back to the heart, get replenished, right? And then bring in new oxygen-rich blood into the legs. So if you aren't familiar getting into this or you want a little more support, I do have a video that is specifically dedicated to this. Otherwise, for today, we're just going to kind of get into it. So I'm going to use the chair. The cushion or blanket is for my pregnant mamas, because if you're in your second or third trimester, you don't want to be laying flat on your back. So it's nice to give yourself a little elevation here. Okay. So once you have the support you need, we'll go ahead and come into it. And just notice any judgment you might be making about how you're getting into this. I always say that there's not really any graceful way to do it, and I mean that even more than ever right now. And just again, see if you can practice meeting yourself where you are. I'm just going to let the calves rest on the chair seat, or your legs might be up the wall. Hips are going to be on a cushion or a blanket if you're using it. And then just take the time to kind of roll your shoulders back. Let your head settle, your neck just be free. So this should feel pretty therapeutic for you in terms of just relaxing the neck and shoulders, releasing some tension. If what you do is like kind of sit at a desk or in front of a computer all day. And then I have my hands resting on my stomach, on my belly. And this can be a great way for mamas to connect to their baby, the life they're growing. It could also just feel nurturing, no matter if you have a baby inside of you or not. And then the other option is to turn the palms face up and encourage more of a widening or opening through the chest. So just experiment, find what works for you. And then if it feels comfortable, let your eyes close. And we'll do a few more rounds of that clearing, cleansing breath. So you'll inhale deeply. Exhale out of the mouth. A couple more times at your own pace. Really letting the body drop down into the support of the floor, the wall, or the chair. Letting both the floor and gravity hold you here. Let that inner gaze lower away from your brain. And then just start to let go of controlling your body, including your breath. As you give yourself a couple more minutes here to simply reset. You can think of this as a recharge. Nothing you need to do here. The mind does feel active. You can use the technique of just being or witnessing. I also like to call it riding the wave of your natural breath. And just watching it rise and fall here. And letting each exhale encourage you to just let go, to relax perhaps a little deeper. Now you are welcome to stay here longer, of course. Take as much time as you need, but also remembering that a little can go a long way. So a lot of times we think that we don't have time to kind of fully do something, so we just don't do it. And I think there's a saying of like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So there's this idea that just even a couple minutes here can be really restorative. So for the purpose of today's practice, I'm just going to gently begin to guide us up out of this relaxation place. But again, you can listen to your body and stay here longer. We are going to begin moving here. I encourage you to start deepening your breath. Let the inhales energize you. And the exhales kind of calm and ground you. If you are on a cushion, a bolster, or a blanket, you might want to lift up, move that out to the side before gently rolling over to one side. Your arm can become a pillow for the head, and you can just take a few moments to rest here. Just noticing the quality of your body, your breath, and your mind. And just being considerate to kind of carry that quality with you as you transition. So not making any sudden movements here and letting your head be the very last thing to come up as you press into your hands. And just make your way back to any comfortable seated position. If it feels safe, you can keep your eyes closed down here, or just keep the focus inward. And then let your hands rest somewhere that will feel really connecting to you. So it can be one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart, or any other configuration that feels good to you. And here, as you connect into yourself, you're just going to notice the life that moves through you. So again, if you are expecting and you are growing a life inside of you, you might actually be feeling that life moving, or just sensing the connection to that life. But again, even if you're not pregnant, we're all birthing something, right? We all have a life force that moves through us and wants to be expressed creatively through us. So just taking these last few moments, more practically or tangibly, it might be by connecting to your inhales and your exhales. How the breath is this vehicle for this life force. And then really just noticing what it feels like to be you. Breathing, present, alive in your body. From here, if you'd like, you can bring your hands together in front of your heart. And taking a nice deep inhale as you elongate up out of a more spacious, open pelvis. And as you exhale, you're welcome to gently bow your head. And surrendering the head to the wisdom of the heart. As you acknowledge the essence, the true meaning of yoga, which is union within you. From here, as you're ready, you can slowly begin to lift your head back upright and gently open your eyes. All right, my friends, I say namaste. And in the meantime, since I'm not sure when I will be coming back, maybe in the next 2 or 3 months, I hope, I just again encourage you, like you're an active participant here. So as I mentioned earlier, we are looking to kind of reorganize and do some restructuring of how this channel will work. So if you have any feedback, any needs or wants, or anything that you have to share, it's so valuable. You are so valuable. So feel free to send me an email or to comment below. I really take all of that feedback seriously. And then also I just wanted to mention, if you're not already tuned in to my newsletter, go over to practicewithkris.com and sign up. especially if you want to learn more about potentially coming to Moon Mountain and practicing with me here, and just kind of plugging into what we're doing here on the mountain. So yeah, practicewithkris.com, sign up if you would like. And in the meantime, I just wish you all health and happiness and peace in your heart. And I thank you so much for being. Namaste.